What if I told you that the modern world, everything from the smartphone you might be holding right now to the jet that flies you across the globe, maybe even the refrigerator humming away in your kitchen, what if I said it owes this massive kind of unexpected debt to the Great Depression?
It sounds completely backward, doesn't it? Because when we think of the 1930s, the images are always breadlines, hardship, economic stagnation. The assumption is always that when money dries up, innovation just stops.
Right, that common idea, that picture of the 30s as technologically just dead in the water, it's
Hmm.
completely wrong. And our mission in this deep dive is really to bust that myth wide open. We've looked at sources showing 10, count them, 10 incredible tech breakthroughs born right out of that necessity and resilience. They basically built the quiet infrastructure for the 21st century. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, the key thing here is context. That decade wasn't stagnant at all. It was almost a hotbed of ingenuity driven purely by need. People, companies, they just couldn't afford to keep doing things the old, inefficient ways. That scarcity forced this radical rethink of how products were made, how they were bought, how they were moved around. The 30s quietly laid the groundwork for the digital age, really touching everything from global logistics to just personal gadgets.
It really is amazing, this idea of creativity under pressure.
Yeah.
So to start, let's look at how the Depression completely flipped one of the most basic daily things, shopping. We're talking the birth of the modern retail model.
Oh, this was a huge systemic change. Before the Depression, getting groceries well, it was a pain. You didn't just go to one store. You had to visit multiple little specialized shops, the butcher, the baker, the greengrocer.
Right, different places for everything.
Exactly. And you often relied on personal service, maybe even running a tab, credit with the shopkeeper. Very fragmented.
So then comes this new model. Folks like Clarence Saunders pioneering the self-service grocery store. This really set up the whole idea of streamlined shopping, fixed prices.
Yeah, for the customer, it was suddenly efficient. You grab your own stuff off the shelves, you pay once at the front, and boom, you're out. Simple.
But there's a deeper economic thing happening there too, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's the shift from that personalized, high-touch, maybe low-volume credit-based system to this anonymous, fixed-price, high-volume model that defines almost all retail today. This model born from needing to squeeze every last drop of efficiency out of a dollar during the hardest times. It's literally the blueprint for every modern store, whether you're, clicking add to cart online or pushing a trolley down an aisle.
That makes total sense. Necessity just breeding efficiency everywhere.
Hmm.
Okay, so moving from the store to the home kitchen, let's talk food preservation. That became absolutely critical, I imagine, when wasting food just wasn't an option. We're talking the refrigerator revolution.
Well, the move away from the old icebox, that was already sort of happening. But the real revolution kicked in around the mid-30s. That's when electric refrigerators finally became reliable and affordable for a mass market.
And what was the key engineering jump? What made them reliable enough for everyone to want one?
Ah, that's the crucial technical bit we need to zone in on. See, earlier refrigeration often used coolants that were, toxic or flammable, and they needed constant fiddling. The Depression-era leap really depended on two big things: developing strong sealed compressors and introducing safer refrigerants like Freon.
Seal compressors.
Right. Creating a totally sealed, non-toxic closed system meant the fridge didn't need constant maintenance, it wasn't a hazard in the home, and crucially, it could be mass-produced pretty cheaply. That single invention just fundamentally changed how we handle food globally and, domestic health standards too, forever.
That reliability factor is just huge. Okay, let's pivot a bit. From big kitchen appliances to something smaller, personal efficiency, let's look at the electric razor. Now, at first glance, this feels like maybe just a minor gadget.
But see, this is really telling about that cultural shift we were talking about. Colonel Jacob Schick introduced his electric razor in 1931. And yes, okay, it gave you a quick, clean shave without water or soap, saving time, saving resources, like you said. But the real insight here, it basically established the whole market for personal, portable, often battery-powered efficiency devices.
So it wasn't just about saving 5 minutes getting ready. It was redefining convenience itself, even when times were incredibly tough.
Precisely. It was personal tech aimed squarely at making a routine task just frictionless. It introduced this whole idea that people would actually pay for a device that cut down on fuss and maximize their personal time, even when money was super tight. It's like the direct ancestor of every single personal efficiency gadget we have now, from electric toothbrushes to smartwatches, anything that's designed to just streamline your day.
Okay, fascinating. Let's switch gears now from consumer goods and personal stuff to the industrial muscle, the materials that underpinned everything. Scarcity forces you to look for completely new things, right? Cheaper, more durable materials instead of relying on expensive imports or natural stuff that's hard to get.
Absolutely. This need directly spurred massive leaps in material science. Just take the rise of nylon.
Right, the world's first totally synthetic fabric.
Exactly. Cooked up by DuPont chemists back in 1935, nylon was specifically designed to replace expensive silk, which was highly desirable but costly and imported. The breakthrough was creating this polymer that had silk-like strength and feel, but could be made entirely from, readily available petrochemicals cheaply.
And the uses just exploded way beyond stockings, didn't they?
Oh, completely. Nylon quickly transformed military gear, think parachutes, and just simple household things like toothbrush bristles. That chemical resilience, the durability they engineered back then, that's why nylon is basically the ancestor of all our modern activewear, technical fabrics, and even critical safety stuff like seatbelts and airbags in cars.
And related to that, we saw this huge growth in industrial plastics, too.
Yeah, materials like bakelite, which was known before but really took off, and plexiglass became huge because they were incredibly lightweight and super cheap to produce compared to metal or wood or glass. Just perfect for large-scale economical manufacturing.
They kind of became the building blocks of the 20th century, didn't they?
Absolutely. These lightweight, tough materials were vital for the ramp-up to wartime production later on, but their lasting legacy. They form the physical basis of so much modern stuff. They're the durable, easily molded parts in our computers, our phones, car interiors, just countless products where weight and cost really, really matter.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Moving from physical stuff to information itself. Let's talk office tech, starting with xerography, the ancestor of the modern photocopier.
This is such a classic inventor story. It's all about solving a really tedious, repetitive problem.
Right, Chester Carlson. He was this frustrated law clerk in 1938. Can you imagine the sheer drudgery of having to hand copy or use messy mimeographs for every single important document? His persistence led him to invent xerography, this dry electrostatic copying method.
And the breakthrough wasn't just making a copy, it was making a fast, permanent, high-quality copy without needing what chemicals or complex printing setups. Carlson basically solved the information duplication problem decades before the digital age really hit. He created this fundamental tool that just revolutionized office work, letting businesses, governments, everyone scale up their documentation like never before.
And if you trace that line forward, the photocopier is clearly the essential step before you get modern digital printers, scanners, even how we think about sharing documents digitally today. Which brings us neatly to early computer tech. Now, when we say computer tech in the 1930s, we're not talking silicon chips yet, are we?
No, not at all. We're talking about automation and data processing, but on a massive scale for the time. Companies like IBM actually thrived during the Depression. And not by selling, fancy typewriters, but by creating systems for efficiency. They used early calculating machines, teletypes, large analog computing systems.
Okay, so what did these big, often room-sized systems actually do that was so revolutionary then?
They solved the standardization problem, really. They relied heavily on standardized inputs, think punch cards. This allowed huge amounts of data, like census results or big company accounts, to be processed and tabulated way faster than ever before. They weren't calculating complex stuff like a modern CPU, but they standardized the flow of data.
So the sheer need for efficiency in handling numbers driven by the lean economy forced the creation of these standardized high-speed data flow systems.
Exactly. And this is the direct link for you, the listener, today. The lineage from those early standardized data processing machines, that constant push to process data faster, more reliably, it evolved directly into the digital revolution, that foundational drive for automated efficiency. You can trace it straight to the speed and power of the device that's probably in your pocket right now.
That's incredible. Connecting Depression-era accounting needs straight to modern microprocessors. Okay, let's shift gears one last time. Let's look at movement and entertainment, starting with being connected on the road. The car radio.
Right. Galen and Paul Galvin, they introduced the first really affordable car radio in 1930, and they called it Motorola, motor plus Victrola. Before them, trying to put a radio in a car was incredibly expensive and technically a nightmare because of the vibration, the power source.
And in the 1930s, radio was everything, wasn't it? It was the main source of news, entertainment, connection, when those things were pretty scarce and costly.
Absolutely. And getting it into a car wasn't just a gadget thing. It was a real engineering achievement in miniaturization and making electronics robust, making complex tech work reliably in a moving, bumping vehicle. That set the stage for all the systems integration and connectivity we just expect in cars now. That original Motorola is the direct ancestor of every infotainment system, every GPS unit, every Bluetooth link you use today.
Amazing. Okay, finally, let's look up to the skies. Despite the total economic chaos on the ground, the 1930s saw these huge fundamental breakthroughs in aviation, starting with the jet engine.
It's honestly staggering that during the absolute depths of the Depression, engineers on both sides of the Atlantic, guys like Frank Whittle in the UK and Hans von Herrhahn in Germany, were developing the core concepts for jet propulsion.
This wasn't just tweaking existing engines, this was inventing a completely new way to fly. Why then? Why was the Depression fertile ground for something so revolutionary so long-term?
Well, because the limits of the existing piston engine tech were becoming really obvious, especially for military uses and for flying higher, faster, further, the struggle kind of forced engineers to think beyond just small improvements and look for truly radical, more efficient solutions. Whittle and O'Hain laid down the theoretical and the practical groundwork in the 30s that ultimately created the technology that powers literally every commercial flight you take today.
And staying in the air, let's talk about going straight up. The helicopter.
Right. Igor Sikorsky's VS-300. It made its first really successful single-rotor flight in 1939. That was the crucial prototype because it finally solved that persistent problem of controlling vertical lift, specifically how to counteract the main rotor's torque, which he did with the tail rotor.
Which is basically the design still used in most helicopters today.
Precisely. Nailing that groundwork for reliable, controllable vertical flight. That established the foundation for so many essential modern services. Think medical helicopters landing where planes can't, search and rescue in tough spots, and yeah, of course, the basis for all modern aerial filming and things like drone technology, too.
So what does this all mean? We've zipped through 10 huge innovations. I mean, everything from synthetic fabrics to jet travel, from how your supermarket is laid out to the basic speed of your computer chip.
It means we really have to radically rethink how we view the Great Depression. That era we usually remember just for its hardship and scarcity. It was actually humming with deep structural technological development. The constant, relentless pressure to save resources, streamline everything, invent cheap, durable alternative that built the actual framework of the modern consumer world and the industrial world we live in now.
So the Depression didn't actually kill progress, did it? It redirected it. It put this massive premium on ingenuity and efficiency, forcing inventors to come up with solutions that were fundamentally scalable and economical.
Which is exactly what the modern global economy thrives on.
Yeah.
And that really brings us to the final takeaway, the synthesized truth here. Hard times don't kill innovation. They absolutely fuel it. If you were surprised hearing how much of our daily world, our infrastructure, actually came out of that really difficult decade, maybe you should consider this. The next time you're facing, overwhelming pressure or scarcity in whatever you do, recognize that maybe, just maybe, you're standing at the starting point of the next great wave of invention. Human creativity often shines brightest when the world seems darkest.